I live alone, not in a dramatic way, no tragic backstory, no sudden loss, just alone. A small, single-floor house at the edge of a quiet neighborhood. The kind of place real estate agents describe as peaceful. And for the first 2 years, it was no strange sounds, no neighbors bothering me, no unexplained events, just silence. The kind of silence you stop noticing after a while. Until the footsteps started. The first time I heard them, I didn't react. It was late, around 11:40 p.m., and I was lying on the couch, half watching television, half scrolling on my phone. The sound came from the hallway. Soft, measured, unhurried. One step, then another. I assumed it was the house settling. Old homes make noises. Everyone knows that. So I ignored it. The footsteps stopped, and I forgot about them. The second time was 3 nights later. Same time, same hallway. This time I muted the TV. I listened. The steps were slow, deliberate. Not a shuffle, not a creak. Footsteps. I sat up slightly, heart beating faster than before. Probably pipes, I whispered to myself. I didn't check. I don't know why. Something in me didn't want to stand up. The steps stopped again. Silence returned. And again, eventually I slept. It wasn't until the 3rd night that I realized something was wrong, because the footsteps matched my walking pace. Exactly. That night I was brushing my teeth in the bathroom. I took a step forward. From the hallway outside, I heard a step. I froze. I stepped back. Another step echoed back. Same rhythm. Same timing. As if someone was mirroring me. I stood still. So did the footsteps. For a long moment, neither of us moved. Then slowly, I leaned closer to the bathroom door and opened it. The hallway was empty. Lights off. Door at the end closed. Nothing unusual. I laughed quietly, embarrassed by my own fear. Get a grip, I told myself. I went to bed, but sleep didn't come easily. Over the next week, the footsteps continued. Always at night. Always when I was alone. Never loud. Never rushed. Just present. I stopped checking the hallway. I don't know when that decision happened. One night I realized I didn't want to see what might be there.
Then something else started. My fitness app sent me a notification. At 3:12 a.m., it said, "Great job. You walked 1,247 steps." I stared at the screen. I hadn't gone for a walk. I hadn't even gotten out of bed. I checked the date. It was from last night, between 3 and 3:20 a.m. I felt a chill move through me. I deleted the notification. Told myself it was a glitch. Technology fails all the time. But the next morning, I found something that made it impossible to ignore. The carpet in the hallway was disturbed. Not messy, just compressed, like someone had walked the same path repeatedly, from my bedroom door to the bathroom and back. I stood there for a long time. Then I laughed again. That nervous, empty laugh people make when they're afraid of their own thoughts. "I sleepwalk," I said out loud. That explanation felt safe, comforting. I Googled it. Sleepwalking can involve walking around the house. Sleepwalkers don't remember anything. Stress can trigger it. Every result agreed. So I accepted it. For a while. The footsteps changed after that. They no longer stayed in the hallway. They moved closer. One night I heard them stop just outside my bedroom door. I held my breath. The handle didn't turn. The door didn't open. The footsteps simply stood there, waiting. Then as they walked away, that was the first night I slept with the lights on. A week later, I did something I wish I hadn't. I decided to check my fitness app history. Not just the last night, all of it. The app tracked my movement patterns, dates, times, routes. I scrolled slowly. Every night between 3 and 3:30 a.m., there were steps recorded, always the same path. Bedroom, hallway, bathroom, hallway, bedroom. But something made my stomach drop. One night, the steps didn't stop at my bedroom door. They continued, past it, into the living room, where I sleep on the couch, on nights when I fall asleep watching TV. According to the app, something walked around my house while I was awake, and I never noticed. That night I didn't sleep. I sat on the couch, lights on, phone in my hand, waiting. 3 a.m. came. Nothing happened. 3D, still nothing. At 3:17 a.m., my phone vibrated. Another notification. "You've started an activity." I hadn't moved. I was completely still. And then I heard the footsteps. This time, they weren't in the hallway. They were behind me.
I didn't turn around. I don't know why. The footsteps behind me stopped the moment I froze. No breath on my neck, no sudden movement. Just the sound of standing. I sat there, staring at the dark television screen, my reflection barely visible. I counted my breaths. 1, 2, 3. Slowly, carefully, I turned my head. There was nothing behind me. The living room was exactly the same as it always was. Couch, coffee table, front door, empty. The footsteps had vanished, but my phone was still vibrating in my hand. I looked down. The fitness app was open. The step counter was increasing. 1 step, then another. Even though I was sitting perfectly still, that was the night I stopped denying it. Something was moving inside my house, and it wasn't random. It was following a pattern. My pattern. The next morning I called in sick to work. I told myself I needed rest. But what I really needed was answers. I walked through my house slowly, paying attention to details I'd ignored before. The hallway carpet was slightly darker in places, worn down, as if someone had walked the same route hundreds of times. I hadn't noticed it because the change had been gradual. Just like everything else, I checked my doors, locked, windows, closed. No signs of forced entry, no broken glass, nothing missing, nothing added. That was the worst part. If something had been taken, if something had been moved, I could have blamed a person. But this felt internal, like the house itself was doing it. I spent the day cleaning, vacuuming the hallway, straightening furniture, removing anything that could make noise. I even laid down flour near the hallway entrance. I'd seen that trick online. If someone walked through it, there would be footprints. Proof. That night, I didn't sleep in my bedroom. I stayed on the couch, lights on, phone recording audio. I didn't expect anything to happen. And for a while, nothing did. Midnight passed. 1 a.m., 2 a.m. I began to relax. Maybe it had stopped. Maybe acknowledging it had broken whatever cycle was happening. Then the clock hit 3 a.m. and my phone vibrated. Activity detected. Before I could react, the footsteps began. Not behind me, not in the hallway, but in the bedroom. Slow, measured, walking from the far end of the room toward the door. I sat up, heart pounding. The footsteps stopped at the bedroom doorway. Then they turned and walked back. Bedroom to hallway, hallway to bathroom, bathroom to hallway. I stared at the hallway entrance. Nothing crossed into the living room, but the step counter kept rising. Then something new happened. The footsteps paused, and a sound followed. A soft exhale. Not loud, not threatening, just breathing. I held my breath to listen more clearly. The breathing continued, and then I realized something that made my stomach tighten. The rhythm matched mine. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. Perfectly synchronized. I ended the recording and stood up. I didn't care anymore. I needed to see it. I walked toward the hallway. As soon as I stepped forward, the footsteps stepped too. Same timing, same pace, like a delayed reflection. I stopped. They stopped. I whispered, "Hello." My voice sounded small in the quiet house. For a long moment there was nothing. Then, very softly, something whispered back. It used my voice. It wasn't a clear word, more like an echo, a repetition, the sound you hear when you play a recording too close to a speaker. My voice, but hollow, flattened, wrong. I backed away. The footsteps followed, 1 step behind me, always 1 step behind. I ran, not fast. Running felt like a mistake. Instead, I moved quickly to the front door and unlocked it. Cold night air rushed in. I stepped outside and slammed the door behind me. For a moment, I felt relief. I was out. Whatever it was inside. I sat on the porch, shaking, watching the door. Minutes passed. Nothing happened. Then my phone vibrated again. Activity paused. I stared at the screen. Paused, as if it was waiting. I looked up at the dark window beside the door. And in the reflection, I saw movement. Not a figure, not a shape. Just the suggestion of someone standing where I usually stand, facing the door, as if learning, as if watching how I left. I didn't go back inside that night. I slept in my car. When morning came, I checked the app one last time. The steps hadn't stopped at 3:30 a.m. like usual. They continued all the way until sunrise, pacing, waiting, practicing. I didn't go home until late afternoon. Sunlight made the whole situation feel smaller, less dangerous. That's what I told myself. The house looked normal from the outside. No broken windows, no open doors, just quiet. I stood there for a long time before unlocking the door. When I finally stepped inside, the air felt stale. Not bad, just untouched. Like the house hadn't noticed I was gone yet. The first thing I did was check the hallway. The flour was gone, not disturbed, not scattered, gone, vacuumed clean. I hadn't done that. My vacuum was still in the closet, unplugged. I felt a tight pressure behind my eyes. The house wasn't just copying my movements anymore. It was copying my habits. I opened my fitness app. The step history was updated. Last night's activity showed something new, not just steps. Routes, lines drawn on a digital map of my house. Bedroom, bathroom, living room, kitchen. Places I hadn't gone during the night. Places I hadn't gone at all. Then I noticed something worse. The timestamps. Some of the steps were recorded before I arrived home. I tested it carefully. I stood in the living room and thought about walking to the kitchen, not moving. Just thinking. My phone vibrated. Activity detected. 1 step logged. I was still standing. I felt dizzy. I took 1 actual step forward. The app recorded 2. 1 ahead of me, 1 behind. That night, I didn't turn off the lights. I didn't sit. I didn't sleep. I stayed standing in the center of the living room, watching every doorway, waiting to see where it would come from. At 2:58 a.m., my phone buzzed again. But this time, it wasn't the fitness app. It was my calendar, a reminder I didn't remember creating. Go to bed. Scheduled for 3 a.m. At exactly 3:00, the bedroom light turned on. I hadn't touched the switch. The footsteps started immediately. Not slow anymore. Purposeful. Direct. They moved from the bedroom down the hallway toward me. I backed up until I hit the wall. My heart was pounding so hard, I thought it would drown out everything else. But the footsteps were clearer than ever. Closer. Closer. Then they stopped. Right in front of me. I couldn't see anything, but I could feel presence. Like standing too close to another person. The air felt warmer, heavier. My phone buzzed again. A new notification from the fitness app. Workout complete. Distance, 0.0 miles. Steps, 190.82. Calories burned. There was no number, just a dash. Then the breathing started. Not synchronized this time. Independent, curious, exploring. I whispered, "What do you want?" The answer came immediately. Not from the hallway, not from behind me, but from my phone speaker. In my voice. Calm, flat, unemotional. To finish the routine, the living room light turned off. The hallway light stayed on. The footsteps moved away from me. Toward the front door, I followed without thinking. I didn't want to be alone in the dark. As I reached the doorway, I saw my shoes, placed neatly, side by side. I never do that. The door unlocked itself. Slowly, the handle turned, just like I had done the night before. My phone vibrated one last time. A final notification. Tomorrow's schedule prepared. Below it was a list. Wake up, walk to the kitchen, make coffee, sit on the couch, leave the house. Normal things, ordinary things, except the last line. Do not return. I stood frozen as the door opened wider. Cold air rushed in, and for the first time, the footsteps moved ahead of me, out of the house, as if inviting me to follow. The house didn't feel empty after I left, because it wasn't.